Hey guys, it's Dan here with the Corporate Thief Beats. We're back with another beat showcase. This is where I show you how to create beats online, and I use Logic. That's my tool of my trade. And I just kind of go and break down the beats that I made because I'm passionate about those beats. And plus, you can get to see the process where I'm actually happy with the end product. Sometimes I see beat making video tutorials and they're just kind of making these kind of beats that you never really hear. I'm actually promoting these beats. These are on my website, and today I'm going to change it up a little bit. The last kind of beat tutorials I kind of did were kind of electro, hip hop, and trap kind of type beats. This is a much different beat. This is more of a summery kind of type vibe beat. The artists that I was trying to if I was kind of producing for, would have been Rick Ross and Chris Brown. The beat is called Pathfinder, and the elements that I'm kind of going for is, let's say it's like a Rick Ross kind of Chris Brown kind of DJ Khaled kind of type beat. It's like that kind of collaborative effort. It's a very kind of summer kind of drive time kind of high pursuit kind of track. I'll go through the song and the beat production elements individually and show you how I created the beat. I'll show you each little section, and I'll talk about how I created the beat. So we'll just listen to the intro first and we'll kind of hear it. It's a very happy kind of upbeat song. It's not trap, it's more kind of modern hip hop, but kind of new school. Okay, what you've practically heard there was an intro slash verse. It's just something different than this typical run-of-the-mill intro, verse, chorus, stuff like that. I kind of just burst straight into the verse. It's just a different kind of thing, different song structure. It's kind of hard to think of a specific beat that I was trying to, but it was kind of those kind of beats that I was listening to. The Rick Ross, Chris Brown, DJ Khaled, the kind of hypey, kind of drive time kind of music. That's what the element I was going for. Now, I mentioned in the last beat that it was a certain sound that really gave me the kind of crux to build a beat, and I'm really particular. I'm kind of a bit too perfectionist when it comes to making beats. If I can't find something that I actually love, I'll never make the beat. I'll never finish it. It has to be one element in a song that makes me love it, and then I'll build everything all around it. And I think it was this arp bass that I really liked. 1 second now, sorry. It's the bass line, but it's the arp bass. It's the bass line and that arp. It's that sequencer really that sets it off. And again, I'm kind of using Salient 1 and Massive, and it's the bass line that really makes this song. This bass line just kind of drives the whole beat, and that arp is kind of doing what I usually use arps to do. They're kind of my effects in a song. See, I don't want too many melodies in there because rappers don't like rapping in a verse with too much melodies. And these sounds are kind of noisy, but there's not really much going on with them. So I'll just show you what kind of MIDI notes I'm playing. As you can see, it's just one note or two notes, and they kind of play behind, and it just kind of keeps kind of a busy momentum throughout the song. So we'll just listen. And you can see that it changed up there. It went from low to high. It's playing the same note, but it's playing a higher note at this section. It just kind of changes up the mood of the song. And the bass line comes in, and the bass always plays the same thing. So this is kind of a sub bass. can hear what it's playing there. It's like boom, and it just kind of plays a nice kind of melody. And you can hear what it's doing. It's just kind of a driving sound throughout it. And there's two bass lines there now, so you can see that I cut off a little bit of the highs in that bass, cut off a good bit of highs, cut off a little bit low, scooped out a little bit there where the kick is coming in. Same is done for this one. I kind of took a little bit there because I felt it was taking off the sub bass. Scooped out a little more lows there, and scooped off a little bit of the highs. So I kind of just have the sound of that midsection that I really want. And then all these together play the same kind of stuff. 1 second, I'll actually add in this as well. And this is a really dirty, noisy bass. It's like, it gives, it's like distortion. It's like, when you hear a rock song, you hear distortion in a song. And this kind of gives, sometimes mix engineers believe when you add a tiny bit of distortion to your bass, you kind of lift the bass frequencies to give it a more driving feel. It helps the bass cut through the song without interfering with the other instruments in the beat. Now let's take a look at that EQ, cut off all those low from nearly 200 downwards. Didn't really play out that much, kind of scooped out a little bit, and then I took off a lot of the highs. I don't really need it, but it's a dirty sound that I'm looking for, a kind of distorted sound. And you can hear all the bass sounds together really match. And I've spread it a little bit, spread that kind of midsection sound a little bit to kind of not interfere with my bass line. So you can still hear the warmth of the sub and the other bass sounds. But they're the kind of crux of the beat. They're the backbone of the beat, along with the drums and stuff like that. But this, what gives it that drive time feel. I just kind of see what else is in it. 1 sec now. Okay, we heard that sound, that kind of arc with it. And that arp is just keeping the track busy because there's only a bass line and one arp. So there's not really many elements to it yet, but you can hear the busyness of the track. And just before, this is just production elements that I do all the time. Just before I kick into that hook, I bring in another arp sound. And that arp is doing the same thing as that previous arp, but it's just a different sound, and it just kind of changes the song up a little bit. I'll just let you listen to that on its own. It's a sound in salient. Show you the EQ, scooped out a little bit at 200, cut a lot of the lows. I'm getting my bass from where the other sound is, and the other bass instruments are. Left in the highs, didn't really tinker with it. I had the EQ right, it sounds right, there's no need to mess with it. I did spread it around a little bit in the mix, just to give it a little bit of different feel. But then when you hear it with the other arp, they're kind of playing off each other, these two arps. But then when you hear them all together, and you can just hear the driving sense to that beat. It's so simple, but yet it has a radio-friendly sound. It's a more kind of pop rap kind of sound, and it kind of has an element of commercial to it, a commercial sound to it. Something that you could hear DJ Khaled as a single or something like that, with Rick Ross or something like that. But then again, I kind of play with some production tricks again. You can see these little sections here. Now this took me a while, but I eventually figured it out. I played around with different instruments within within Logic and within Salient, and I found these instruments, and basically these are my transitioning effects. Really, it says Super Saw, but it's really just I just tinker with a bunch of instruments to get this sound. So I'm playing one really fast and then I'm playing one really slow. I've kind of added some reverb to them as well. Just a little bit of reverb there I bust out. I've spread them really wide as well in the mix so the frequencies won't interfere with the other elements, because you can hear the arps in there. I don't want it to affect them. So this is kind of like almost like a symbol or an alarm, or kind of it's the ear candy to let the listener know the song is hitting you, or the chorus is coming in, or there's a change up. So this is just a production effect. And it's so simple, but it just makes the track so much more when you hear it come in. And then I have a little perk here as well at the end. So it's just a perk sound, and it's kind of a snare and a tambourine basically. But I've kind of I've kind of panned one right and hard panned one at 45, and then I've paired the other one, and then I have cut off all the low end and just kind of kept the highs really. And the reason why I did these production effects is because I want to wake the listener up. So like I said before, when I created this beat, the kind of image I was getting was like a drive time kind of beat with Rick Ross, with DJ Khaled and etc. And this is the effect that I just get to get the listener's attention. And it sounds stupid on its own, but when you bring in all those elements in that song, one second, I'll just bring in the instrumentation first before I start talking about the kicks. So we'll just play all that. And you can hear what I was trying to affect with that. It just kind of wakes you up. It kind of makes you want to listen to it with the kicks. And you can see that it really makes the song interesting and energetic at the same time. So that's the kind of verse / intro, whatever you want to call it. It's 8 bars anyway. And then we just go through the kicks and snares. So there's nothing really amazing about these. They kind of sound kind of boring on their own. And that's just my basic kick. It's a kick that I tend to use a lot, and I've kind of tweaked it. I kind of use, as you can see, there's a song there called Zone 6. I tend to use my kicks because I tend to like certain sounds, and I don't want to spend forever looking at a sound because I'll never actually create anything. So I tend to use some of the kicks and stuff that I used from previous beats, and sometimes they're kind of mixed already, and it just gives me a help with creativity. And sometimes if I'm having producer's block or I can't create anything, just go back to kind of instruments that I've already mixed or that I already know sound the way I want them to sound. So when you bring in the snare as well, it sounds better. So we'll just listen to this kicks and snares together. So there's the MIDI of it. It's a very basic drum beat. And you can see it actually changes up in a little section here. Changes up on a little section. 1 second, now we'll just move it back a little bit so you can see it all. There's a little snare roll here. And it's just the snare roll in there makes the difference. And you can hear it better with this kick as well, or the snare. It's just a kind of a skip in the beat. It's just kind of a little drummer trek, and it just kind of changes up the mood in the beat. And you can hear it better when it plays with the instruments. and the other instruments in the song, it just gives it a better effect. Brought in the hi-hats. I'll just kind of hold on there. This is standard kind of hi-hats, but they're nice clean sounds. I've kind of EQ'd them. I've kind of boosted the highs. They're very clean sounds, spread them a bit wide, and then I put some compression and I put some kind of reverb on them as well. And the same with the snare, kind of reverb, compression, and I've kind of tweaked with the reverb. This is the second snare hit, so that first snare hit was a bit weak. It's a bit dead. But when you bring in this kind of snappier snare as well, it kind of just beefs everything up a bit. And then there's more hi-hats. It's just skipping a little bit. It just gives it more. It gives it more kind of a stereo field. It kind of just beeps up the hi-hats. It makes it thicker sound. That's all I'm really doing, is layering really there. As you can see, there's different colored velocities. This is really important to get that kind of really rhythmic sound with the hi-hats. You have to kind of play with the velocities and find the kind of level that makes the song sound right. And it might have took me a while to find little things like that in production. Just don't seem important, but they do take up a bit of time. Again, I'm layered the open hi-hats. And they kind of sound a bit boring together, but when you hear all the drums together, they sound actually pretty nice together. And it's just kind of a simple beat, really, and not really major to it. But there is a little production trick here where I've just taken out the hats, left the open hats in. So I'm removing the energy in one place, but I'm putting it in with a different arp sound here. Cancel, sorry about that. So I've removed the energy from the drums and kind of brought it into this other arp sound. So it's just kind of what I was feeling at the time, and I think it works. So we'll just kind of listen to the verse together. I'll just play the end of that bit. And you can hear this is the hook, then the hook kind of comes in and kind of takes it over. There's a nice element there, just sticking with the production or the drums. So when the hook hits, you kind of hear these kind of sounds. All it is a tambourine. That's all it is really. And then there's some guy in the background saying hey. So some vocal sample that I found. And it sounds kind of basic, but it's just changing the energy of the track. It's differentiating the verse from the chorus. It's making the chorus more energetic. It's making it bouncier, and it just kind of, it sounds, I don't know, I can't even find the words to describe it sometimes, but it just kind of gives a different element to the hook. Everything sounds a bit busier. And just before I get into that, now you've already heard this arp, but this is the other one then. This is basically the hook sound. And when I heard this sound, I was like, it just reminds me of Rick Ross, and it reminds me of the sounds that are in the beats that Rick Ross has, or Chris Brown would have, or DJ Khaled would have. So I just have that image in my head. And it's loud as well. It's pretty loud, but it suits the rest of the sounds within that song. And I haven't really tinkered with it that much. I don't really go drastic on EQ unless I really need it. Sometimes I scoop out the sounds that I know are going to cause me problems, but the sounds that I picked probably took me. That's what it takes to make a beat. Like, it takes a long time to make a beat because you're searching for sounds. This sound, I found it in Salient, and it just had that kind of sound that I really wanted. That arp sound that doesn't require a melody or anything like that. It's just following that arp stutter as well. It's the same thing again. It's only playing one note, and then it plays one higher note, one lower note. And it's kind of doing the same thing as that arp that was there before. It's climbing. It starts low and it climbs, but that with the tambourine change and the transitioning effects like the super saw all coming in at the same time really give you boom, the chorus is hitting really. So we'll just listen to all them. And you can hear what I did there as well. I just cut the drums in that section. I also cut the tambourines and just left it play out on its own. Then you have my transitioning effects back into this verse. And this time I kind of changed it around again. I took off the open hi-hats, just changing a slight element to the song, to the verse. And the way I thought this beat was different than the other beats that I produced was the way that it kind of has the crux of the hook throughout the song. So it has the energy of the song all the time, but it just has little elements that flick a switch at the hook and in different sections of the song. So like in the verse, it's just a little bit quieter because there's hi-hats removed, or these arps, the main arps in the hook are removed, or the tambourine is removed. But you still have that kind of production element where that kind of sound lets you know that you're going back into the verse, or the hook has ended back into the verse. And then again, I just have a short verse. This is kind of a very commercial song when I was making this. I didn't want a 16-bar loop. I was trying to make something different. Obviously, if there was an artist that wanted a beat, I could extend verses, make it longer, but for this time I just wanted to change it up and kind of promote something different. And then it kind of just goes into the hook again, back into the verse again, and then there's this little bridge. So this is a little breakdown in the bridge. So I wanted to trick the listener there, so I practically played the chorus. Basically, it's just that with no drums. It's practically the chorus, but no drums, no percussion, and little hi-hats to kind of keep the energy going. And then I bring them back into the verse again, and then they just kind of plays out with the verse and the last bit of the hook again. And it's just a simple song. It's a really simple song, but it's really energetic. It's a really summertime kind of beat. It's very commercial kind of hip hop. But I really like the elements in it. And I think if an artist had a singer on it, they could come up with a really good hook for it, or a cool video for it. This is Dan with the Corporate Thief Beats. Don't really think I think I've covered everything in the beat. There's not much really else there. I've gone through the EQ. I use a lot of the spreader in a lot of my tracks, and I kind of just bust things out to help me with the volumes of the track. I put on some parallel compression on the drums and on the bass guitar, so I've kind of put some aggressive compression on just to pump the bass and to give the drums a little bit of a boost as well. As you can see, I have a high ratio on the drums. And this kind of stuff just changes all the time. It's kind of difficult for me to kind of tell you exactly how to parallel compress something. This changes for me every time. Sometimes I don't even use the same compressor over and over again. But I do really like the compressors in Logic. I really do like them. I think they sound good. They give me the sound that I want. Plus, I'm familiar with them because I've been using them forever. And I just get the elements that I want from them. Like if I take the parallel compression out of this track, you can see really how dead it kind of sounds. It sounds very kind of quiet. Kick got a bit busier there. What's that now? And bass. You can hear that it's really, really heavily compressed. Same with the drums as well. But I don't put in that much into them, or if I do, I take it out of the original sound. I like to keep my original sounds because that's the reason I picked them. The mix takes forever, a long time with me, and finding sounds take a long time with me. But that's the beat really, guys, in a nutshell. And I hope you guys have learned something. If there's something that I'm not showing you in the tracks that I've produced, leave some feedback in the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Any kind of drums I use, there's usually a link in the descriptions from Producer's Choice. They're great drums that I get, and I have a bunch of kits from them. Anything else I can show you, you guys have to let me know. This was Dan with the Corporate Thief Beats. I'll kind of play you out with a bit of this again, and I hope you like the beat making tutorial.